New Artist Spotlight Podcast.
Welcome to this special episode where we have Wilko Wilkes and Charles Connolly here as guests today. They just put out a brand new song. We're going to talk all about it. So, first and foremost, guys, like, how did this collaboration start? Was it the podcast that I wasn't involved in, or had it already been in works? What happened?
It was I just wrote the song sometime last year, and just had this idea that it would be good with some sort of rap on it. But I can't rap. I have rapped a bit, but it's kind of slow, simple stuff, and I didn't, and I was literally thinking between the two of you.
Wow, so I lost.
It was very, this is the thing. It wasn't like a one's better. It was really, really difficult because your style is much more the sort of the smoother, also because you're American, you've got a sort of warmer, creamier kind of a sound. But what I thought I was sort of more looking for was a bit more aggression, a bit more attack. And also Wilko's speed is just phenomenal. However, have I just brought up a bad topic?
Oh yeah.
No, we all know that my speed is much better
second best. Second best at best.
You see, I think the real reason is that Charles, being a southerner in the UK, they sort of see northerners as like this gritty, like dark and cobbled streets where it's raining and we're all like rough around the edges, and I think that's what you needed for the track, the vibe of the.
Well, isn't that what you are?
No, mate. We're polished veterans of the game. It's amazing up north. You wouldn't believe your eyes. You're all sort of soft.
I've actually wanted to go there for a long time. Up north, just there, that place.
The real north, mate. Come to Yorkshire. Yeah. You're welcome. We want to have you.
Would like to. But yeah, so the track just came about by just writing the thing and thinking that you really make this work, because I think the whole song would have just been a bit too smooth, just plain sailing, and I just wanted something different. And as you know, I never sorry, I'm constantly wiping my face because it's so boiling here.
I'll jump in there. So yeah, when I remember, I was at work and Charles sent me like this a little singing clip, and also got me to download VLC player so that I could actually listen to it. So that was another game changer. And I really liked the chorus straight away. I was like, yeah, this is like awesome. I can really hear this. And then a few days later, he sent me. I could start of like, I liked the idea of this is how the story begins. And I could instantly start think that my bits could be a bit of a juxtaposition on that, where sort of like I'm talking about how bad things have got in the first verse, and like how it's all got out of control and drinking too much and this, that and the other, which kind of came later, but it was strange, because then a few days later, Charles sent me the music for it, and I was a bit like, it doesn't sound how, because I'd heard the chorus first of all.
It did put you off at first. I'm not really sure about this song.
Yeah, because I'd heard the chorus first of all, I think what it is, and then I'd built up kind of what the song was sounding like in my head. And because the verses were so different from the chorus, I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. And I think I was having a bad day at the time as well. And I was busy, and I was like, I don't know about this, man. I'm not falling in love instantly with the music. But then I felt a bit bad about that. And then later on, I was listening to it again, and I was like, okay, can I hear myself on this? And I was like, actually, I can definitely hear myself on this. And it really grew on me, like another 2 or 3 listens. And I think at the first, it was just the shock of like, it didn't sound what I expected it to sound. Even when I was listening to the chord sequences, they weren't going in the order that I thought they would. But it took me, sometimes it just takes a little bit of time to bed in.
Yeah, then, I literally gave you a melody on its own. I sung it into my phone and then sent you that. It was a stupid thing to do. I just sent you the melody on its own without the music. It was just done. And then say, yeah, Wilko, can you rap to something to do with this? It was silly, but that was the way it happened. I mean, the whole thing was really kind of all over the place. I just had the idea, and then you liked the idea of it, of you doing something with this song, but you hadn't heard the song, and it was all a bit of a mess, but it turned out well in the end, I think.
So was that the way that kind of it went? Did you kind of tell them, this is what I'm looking for? Can you do something that kind of matches a concept or theme, or did you just kind of let them have free reign with?
The only thing I had in mind was that the verses were darker, and then the chorus is brighter. In other words, it would be like he's doing the sort of the darker side of things, and I'm just bringing a bit of light to the topic. But I like, and that was pretty much all I did, because I think we just vaguely talked about things of what it's about. And it's just, in life when things go down, and then you looking negatively, looking positively, basically, that's it. And Wilko said, yeah, I think I can wrap something around that. And he did, and it was stunning. And I think it works well. I think you mentioned that juxtaposed thing. That's exactly what it is. It's got that dark side with the light side. And then a fun change in the bridge to sort of keep it alive.
So when I listen to it, one of the first things that pop out to me is kind of the editing of his vocals, right? So whose idea was it to go in that direction with it? Was it did he send you like raw vocals and you say, this is where it's going? Or was he like, this is kind of like an idea I had?
He sent me just literally raw audio, raw vocals, and that was it. He left it to me. Wilko said, it's completely up to you. It's your song. You can do what you want with it. And that kind of, in a way, it surprised me. But I sort of liked not having to be careful, because I sort of, if I'm creative, I want to be creative. I just want to do what I want to do. And if I wanted to do something that he would say, understandably, he might say, I'm not really sure, I'm not sort of happy with you doing that. Because it's, if it's your voice, it feels, it's personal, and and it's going to be in the public. You don't want to make yourself look bad or anything, or look different to how you want to seem. And I think I sent a text saying, do you mind if I add notes to your rap, like make it almost sung, but still completely rapped? And he just said, go for it, man. That was it. So I did. And it was, I don't think I've done it before. I'm not sure if I've really heard it before properly. Notes with rapping. I mean, you can rap. You can sort of do a rapping style singing, but it's a different thing. So that was it.
I think a lot of, there's a lot of modern rap is sort of auto-tuned into melodies and stuff. But I don't really listen to that much modern rap, to be honest. But like when I did my first collab as an artist, I did a collab. I won't name the guy, but it was like I wrote a fair section for this song and then sent it to him, and then he sent it back and he changed the beat, but he kept my vocals. And it just didn't work at all. It was like a shambles. I listened to it back and I was like, oh my, I absolutely hate this song. But so that never saw the light of day. So I emailed back, I was like, honestly, like, what is this? Is this a joke? Because you've just changed, you changed the music. So like I've literally written and he changed it from like quite a sort of dark, immersive beat to like this sort of weird sort of upbeat calypso track, and nothing was in time anymore. And like,
that sounds horrific.
Yeah, it was a bad experience, but I think that maybe could have guided me on future collabs. But what I was going to say is like with Charles, I already was a fan of his music, and I've listened to loads of his other stuff, and I know that he's like a brilliant producer, and his vocal production is fantastic. Like, I like what he does with his own voice in certain songs of his. There's bits where it sounds like it's a female singing, but it's not. It's Charles.
Not to cut you off, but I think I remember when you engineered a song for Ed, and it said like undetectable vocal correction or something like that.
Yeah.
That was you, right? So your reputation already kind of precedes you in that category. But
yeah, it's quite nice that it's starting to be. It's starting to float about. People are starting to know what I can do, which is good.
Yeah, I think that helped me just have the confidence as well. Like, and I knew from the start I'm not going to be really prescriptive on what is it's a Charles Connolly track featuring me, so I'm not going to tell him how I want my vocals processed and stuff. And I did do a little bit of pre-editing, like chopping out breaths and stuff like that, like we were talking about with Kirsten Starshine. So I knew that what I sent to Charles was how I wanted it to sound, and then he could just work his magic in terms of anything else he wants to do with it. It's like, you're more than welcome to. I'm not going to come around to John Lennon's house and tell him how to start writing songs. Like, let the wizard do his magic.
Well, I just felt weird because, apart from it being your stuff and sort of messing with it, it was the very first collab I've done. I just don't do it, mainly because I don't really have much need for it. I like working alone, but because I can play several things and I can sort things, and like you said, I needed female vocals on a couple of tracks, so I just made myself sound kind of ish female, and it's just sort of, it's slightly, because it's easier, it's quicker and easier. If I can do it myself, I will. With you though, it was an absolute dream. It was just so smooth, so easy and straightforward, no mess ups, no arguments. And that was just, that's how I hoped it would be and how I didn't really quite expect it to be. Just because it never is like that. So that was a relief.
And I think that's another thing I'd add is that anyone approaching a collab, me and Charles talked about that right at the start before we actually agreed to do the project. It was like, how do we want to work? And like I was saying, I'm not going to be like really prescriptive over details, and like I'm not going to try and change all the little things. But if I don't like something, I'm going to tell you I don't like it. And if you don't like something, I want you to tell me that you don't like it, and I'm not going to get offended. I'm not going to get upset. We don't have to we don't have to pussyfoot around each other. If we don't like something, just tell me and we can sort it together. So I think that really helped, because there were times when one of us would go back to the other one and with a suggestion or an idea, where if you were working with somebody who you weren't comfortable with and you weren't sure that they might take it the wrong way or get upset by it or take it personally, it could have been awkward, but instead it wasn't at all. It was like really professional working relationship, and like I think the track benefited from that.
Yeah. Also, we sort of know each other now, so it's the closer you are with someone, the easier it is, I think.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I myself can attest to as an artist, and I guess this kind of goes double for Wilko, when you're working with another creative, whether they're another artist or they're the engineer or they're the producer, it is always like a bit when you're sending out something that's yours and not knowing what exactly they're going to do with it and hoping that it comes back good. It's like, it's a lot of trust in that, right? Because somebody can send back something and absolutely butcher, like Wilko said, happened with him. So even for me, like I know when I went from trying to engineer on my own stuff and kind of came to the realization, all right, there's somebody that can do this better, and it makes more sense to just pay them to do it right than to me do it and it never be what I want it to be, right? And then finding an engineer, and I literally only had to use like 2 before I found the guy that was like, I send him something, he sends it back, he adds something to it, and I feel like it's an improvement, right? Because everybody that's working in this process is a creative, right? Like everybody has an idea, they have an input, And it was the conversation like, all right, I'm sending you this. You know, if you change something and I don't like it, I'll let you know. And if I send you something and you think this is trash, tell me. I don't want to sit here and waste time or money paying you to work on something that's never going to be good, right? I can change something, I can do something else, but don't let me send you something that I think is good and that you listening to it objectively hear and think it's bad and just work on it just for the sake of working on it, right? And for him to send you his vocals as a feature and as the guy that's doing the production, the engineering, everything, it's like for him, this is like all I have, and then I'm giving it to you. And so for him to have that outlook and that trust as an artist, and I feel like for all of us as artists, when we're working with somebody else that's gonna do something to what we send them, it's just it's always like a step in faith.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was mixing Ed's last track, I've mixed a few of his now, and he knew that I'd be mixing it well. He knew that I'd do it well, but it was when I sent it back, the first mix I sent back, he said, yeah, it's great, but it's really not what I meant at all. And that is the sort of tricky thing. But because, you know, we trust each other and we just spoke about it and everything, I made it really heavy and like full fat punch in the face, and just, it wasn't what he meant. And I got that, and we talked about it, and in a day or two I tweaked it, and it worked. But you have to have that. You're completely right. That sort of both sides thing. Working with each other, because you can't read each other's minds. You've got to sort of work it out, and it does work.
Yeah, and it takes a little bit more time. Like when you're doing it, like it'd be easier if me and Charles could just get into a room together and do it on the spot, and then just go, change this, tweak that. But so it is, you know, I like to work with people who are efficient and do what they say that they're going to do, and you know, reply to your messages. And there's a lot of unprofessional people in the music industry. There's a lot of people who claiming to be producers who really, you know, can't mix, and they're just blagging it. And there's people who don't message you back or are lazy.
Talking about murder the spider.
Rage, spider rage.
Down. It could have just landed on my head if you wanted to. I'm play spiders.
Absolute rage.
Spider-Man tomorrow.
Love it, man.
Anyway, as you were saying.
Yeah, it's just good. Like, I think, and like Charles said, because we built up a relationship already, and you know, we message fairly frequently, like with similar age, and I think we're both pretty sort of chilled out and set with the same sort of,
not height.
Yeah.
You went like that.
Not high. Is that what you said? Oh, height. Yeah, no. Not... How tall are you, Charles?
How tall am I? I think I'm a foot small. That can't be right. I'm about a foot smaller than you. I'm
6'1". You can't be that.
I think you're 6'4". Okay.
No, I think that's Andres.
I think I'm 5'4", 5'5", something like that.
Right.
Hey, short guys, let's get it.
I think Andres is 6'4", and I think Eddie Eagle is about 8'10".
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
So I gotta ask Wilko, right? So now you've worked with Andres, you've worked with Charles. Talk about their differences in their approach, right? And because like I know we did the song with Mercury Teardrop, and we got back something that we weren't expecting to hear when we got it back, but it was Mercury's direction, right? And you get back something from Charles that you weren't expecting, but then it grew on you. So just kind of talk a little bit about that, right? Like working with.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's different experiences. With Charles, again, like I gave him complete free rein because essentially I think that this is his track. And yeah, it was very easy. And also we're in the same time zone, which helps. Because working with Andres sometimes is like, I'm thinking, oh yeah, he's probably at work now, and in fact he's in bed, or I'm texting him very, very late at night, and he's not in the studio, or I don't know. But like Andres is working on my album, but I've paid Andres, so with him, I'm almost very meticulous, and I have put him rigorously through his paces. He said it's been the hardest album he's ever worked on, partly because I'm closing the first chapter really, and on some of my backing tracks I literally just had one wav, so I didn't have the stems and stuff, and he's had to try and work around that. Hopefully in the future I might self-produce a lot of my stuff, but yeah, Andres is great. Like he's very detail focused. He does what I ask him to do. He did break his arm like halfway through, so I think like we've been working on it since about March, and it's been like slow progress because his work was just building up and up when he had his arm broken, and then every now and then it's like we make some progress and a bird flies into one of the wires outside his office block, and because the infrastructure in Argentina is so bad, it knocks out the internet for about 2 weeks or something like that. So it's been, and I think both me and Andres are a little bit ADHD as well, and it can be a slower progress because of that. Like we're really quibbling over the finer details and stuff like that, and it didn't help that I completely forgot about one track as well until he sent me like the final album listing when we thought it was done, and I was like, hang on, where's this other track? And he was like, yeah, good one. And I was like, no, I'm not joking. He was like, you are joking, you're winding me up. I was like, no, I'm genuinely not. I'm sorry, but I've definitely not sent you another full song. So yeah, he's had to go back and do that as well, but we finally got it finished on Friday night. But yeah, two geniuses in my opinion, two enigmas. Charles, especially with his songwriting, I just think is brilliant. I think I put him up there with the Beatles.
Blimey.
But I do honestly, I think
that's quite high.
The way you construct songs, and like a lot of your songs are quite sort of, they tell a story without telling the story. It's almost like you can apply your own beliefs to that. Yeah. I struggle to write songs like that. A lot of my songs are a bit too specific for some people. But if that's the way my mind works, I think I struggle to write like sort of, to leave that intrigue and mystery. As feedback I've had before, one of my mates was like, you should try and write songs that are just a little bit more abstract. Mm-hmm. And I probably will at some point.
Slightly further back. Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice, man. And yeah, Andres, in terms of like as a composer, I think he's brilliant. Like there's been a couple of bits where I've just asked him, could you just add a bit of a horn line here? I'm not too bothered what it is as long as it sounds good. And then he comes back and it sounds, better than I imagined. And but yeah, it's great for me to be working with people like Charles and Andres and Mercury Teardrop and yourself, Origin. It's really it's exciting for me, and I can learn something from everybody's different approach.
So if I can get my mute button to work. So Charles, like you said, you haven't done a lot of collabs, but you do work on music for others, right? Like,
yeah, with mixing and producing, I'm working with anyone. I mean, if they want to work with me, that's great. But that's as a job. I mean, that's paid, so that's why it's anyone. But and that can be anything from tweaking something. I think the next thing I'll be doing is mastering someone's track, or it could be a full mix, and it could be an acoustic track. It could be 65 tracks with absolutely everything, but it could be production, which is, I haven't done many. I've done a few. I'm in the middle of 2 at the moment, and some of them are adding production. One of them is a full production, so it's just someone's written a basic bare bones of a song, actually not quite the full song, sort of 2/3 of a song. I'm finishing that, the actual writing, and then producing a whole piece around it. It takes a lot of time, obviously, but then you get more money, so it's all right. But I do like it. I really do like it because it's just something different. But it does take a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of thought. And with production, unlike mixing, to me it's very personal. So if the artist says, "Nah, I don't like that," I have to just gulp and say, "Okay, I'll change it." And I sort of slightly resent it, but that's my fault. I've got to get over that because they're paying me to do a job, and I've got to do that.
Can I just ask you, Origin, while we're on the subject of collabs, because I know that you've done quite a lot of collabs, and you've had features from friends, and you've had features from other people, and you've got quite a few different artists on your album as well. How do you find collabing? Are you a bit of a lone wolf as well? Because it seems more like you're, more open to collabing, and I don't know. What's your experience of it all?
All right, so here's my thing, right? So if you listen to my mixtape, album, whatever you want to call it, I have it's like 9 or 10 features on there, and that was me saying, okay, I want to work with every dope artist that like I know personally, especially the ones from the city that I'm from. Partially even including the thought that I know I'm moving from my hometown to somewhere else. So I want to have the chance to work with all these people. Even though you can send stems, stuff like that. But I mean, and a lot of those were sending stems, but like it feels less personal from across the country. But traditionally before that, I hadn't done a lot of collabs, right? Like if you go through my discography, the most collabs you'll see is with Cool City. And that's like one of my best friends. And outside of my cousin who I started working with and like we started making music together, I hadn't had any collabs. Now, I don't know if that was necessarily a thing of I didn't want to. I think at a period I just didn't have people that were serious that wanted to work. Because I was always open to working with people as long as I thought they had talent, right? And we're all a part of this community, right? We know everybody in here is not at the same level, right? So if you are somebody that sticks out for being like one of the best artists on or in the community, on the server, however you want to put it, people are automatically going to want to come ask you, hey, can we work together? Can we do this? Can we do that? And no, like there are some people like if they reached out and said, hey, can we work on this? Or whatever. And then I'll listen, go like check them out. And if it's not good music, I don't think I'm the difference between them having a good song and them having a bad song, right? Because everything else that's still theirs is still gonna be subpar in a way. And like not to say that mine is perfect or whatever, right? But and not to say that I'm against working with somebody who isn't quite there or to where I feel like we're kind of equal, because it's all about elevating the other artists around you. That's what we do. That's why we're here. But it has to make sense, right? Like I don't want to do a song with a producer that just happens to be on the server, but his beats are absolute garbage because like I'm attached to it, right? So that's how I look at it, right? Like if we can do something together that benefits both of us in some way, like we don't have to be equal. Like if you look at all the Motion Sickness songs, right? All of his collabs are better than the people he's collabed with music independently, right? So like while their mixing they might be good artists, but their mixing may not be great. But the song with him makes them sound even better because now they can fully display their level of talent with his level of production or engineering or whatever. So I look at it as, does it work? Does it make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, man. I
Basically
mean, you've got to like the song, haven't you? And you've got to like the artist. I mean, we've all got so many things we could be getting on with, and things that, you know, I'm sure we've got songs that we're writing or songs that are half produced and whatever. It's like, what's going to make me want to spend my time putting it into a shared song? And yeah, that's what it's got to be. Like you say, it's got to be something that motivates you and elevates you, and something that you can put that passion into. Otherwise, there's no point in accepting it, really, is there? Do you think you'll do more collabs in the future, Charles?
I've actually planned one, but it was planned way before yours, and that's one of the times where it hasn't gone right. It's been difficult. It's been long. It's been gaps of silence. It's been a mess, to the extent where I actually think I'm just going to have to say, hey, haven't heard from you in 6 months or 5 months. I'm going to get someone else to do this, because it's just stupid. Because there's a good song there, and there's no point. I thought, well, it's a nice person and good voice, and yeah, I'll do that. But it's not worth it if it's like that. But aside from that, I think I'm mainly going to be doing my own stuff. It's just simpler. It's easier. It's simpler, you know.
But that's another thing. Yeah. Like, you don't, if you're not in charge of the process, you don't actually know whether it's ever going to come out. Like, I did another collab that's never going to come out. It's never going to see the light of day. And you put a lot into it, and then someone's like, basically the guy got signed by a record label, so he's like, I've been signed, and now the record label actually aren't allowing me to release this. So, but you know, it was basically finished, and yeah, so it's a bit annoying. I'm going to repurpose the lyrics somewhere else, but still, it's you know, you just don't even know if it's going to come out. At least when you're doing your own stuff, you've got those certain assurances, and but yeah, I've not had any features on a Wilko Wilkes track yet. It's something that I probably will do at some point, but. I think because I write, and sort of, I don't write with somebody else's voice in mind. Do you know what I mean? Or I don't write and ever think I'll just write a song where there's a blank minute for somebody else to come in and do whatever they want.
It's not
the same way. I just write a song. Start and finish. You know, it's not like, and that's even a part of the answer to the question you asked me. Just like start, and then I stop when it's done. There's nothing left for someone else.
Yeah.
But for you guys, I mean, Charles, you said you're probably going to be working by yourself going forward. Wilko, I know you might already answered it, but are you thinking more features going forward, or just more staying to yourself?
Me, for me, I think similar to you, I'll take more features if I like the song, if I like the beat, if I think I can do something, and I think I'm going to add value, then I'll do it. But at the same time, at the moment, I'm chasing my tail. I've got stuff that's not finished. So I've got songs I've been working on for over a year that I want to, you know, finish and get a beat finished and practice and record. And I mean, that's maybe one of the issues with sort of doing everything myself these days, is that it slows down the process a bit. So yeah, I don't have that much capacity unless I actually love something. I'll just say no, I'm too busy working on my own stuff. And I actually think maybe in the next year or so, I might get to the point where I am asking people if they want to jump on my track, because that might help speed it up, because at the moment I'm enjoying making beats and making music so much that I'm starting to get to the point where I'm actually behind on the writing, and I might have like 4 or 5 different beats that I haven't really planned yet. So if they start just building up, I might just farm some of them out and say, look, because then I can, you know, if I just have to write like 16 bars for it and somebody else can take the rest, rather than having to write like 2 or 3 verses and all of it, it might be an interesting way to get stuff finished with other people's vision. But again, I'd be nervous about, like, it'd have to be an artist that I really enjoy the music of, because I'd be nervous about sending it and then something comes back and I'm just like, yeah, I don't like it. Like, yeah, this is meant to be my song and I don't like it. It'd be it'd be difficult. But I'm open to it.
So I know we talk about it a lot on the podcast. Did you charge Charles your customary £1 million to do this collab, or was there some type of bartering?
Because he's a Southerner, I charged him £2 million. No, we did. No, I didn't. Obviously, didn't charge anything. Just a royalty split that we agreed between us.
So, how do you guys feel just toward the whole process overall of just working with other artists, right? But from the perspective of we're gonna sit down and create this thing together versus I have an idea, please add something that doesn't suck to it. I mean, because that's pretty much what it boils down to, right? How do you guys feel about let's get together and come up with something together, and then we'll expound.
You mean like writing together?
Yeah, like
as opposed to having a full thing sorted and then saying, do you want to do a bit? I am very uncomfortable with that, to be honest, because I could write one section and then think, how about you write the next section, or lead on from that. But I will already automatically come up with something, but I'll sort of feel like it's a favor, or I'm doing this for a weird reason. But because I write so much, and because that's sort of what I do, and because I always do it on my own, I can't really imagine doing it with anyone else. Because when I've tried it in the past, it's that I've done a little something and then they've done the next bit, and I said, yeah, that's good. I mean, it's fine, but how about this? And then they've gone, oh yeah, that's good, that's better, yeah, okay, cool. So you do something for the next bit, and then they do something, and then it's just ends up being that it's basically my song. So there's not much point. And also, for me, writing is so personal. I don't mean like lyrically or anything. I just mean the actual writing of it. And I can't imagine half writing, because that's what you do. That's what I do. I write the stuff, and I can't imagine it being half written. I'm not including lyrics here, though. I could write some music and someone else could write lyrics to it, or the other way around. But actually, music-wise, the sections and the way things go together, to me, it's like architecture. Like it all has to come together. You can't just have sort of one thing next to another. It has to segue, or it has to transition into it, and that's very difficult. And you get these great duos, songwriting duos, and all that. And I think it's just one of those things where it works for some people and doesn't for others. And I'm probably stupid in pretty much saying, no, I don't do that, because I could find the one where it just works and it clicks. But I'm not really willing to risk it, because I've got so many songs at the moment anyway, and so many ideas, that I'm just sort of going with that.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think I'm just a bit too selfish for writing songs together. I think it'd be like, I wouldn't want to be sat there writing and someone's like, oh, what about this line? And every time I'm just like, or we could not use that and stick with the line that I wrote.
So you were sitting there listening to Charles and you were like, well, somebody would try to tell you to put something else there.
No. I think that's the thing of like, I think before you even write a song, you've got to have a vision as to what it's going to be, where it's going to go. Like I write all my songs with a bit of a start, middle and end, and I have a loose plan for it before I start. So if somebody else was sort of trying to get in on there and take it off piece, I'd be a bit like, no. But I suppose it, like I say at the start, I suppose it comes down to having those conversations right at the start of the process and not getting halfway through the collab and then going, right, this is doing made in. And like you said, prioritizing it as well. Like people might go, yeah, I'm in the middle of my studies, I'm doing this, that, and the other. But really, that just all it comes down to is that it's not a priority for them. And if it's so low down on their to-do list that it's going to take them 8 months to write anything and get anything back to you, and you're sat there like, I want this finished like ASAP so I can move on to the next track or whatever, then it's just going to be really annoying. Yeah, so I think it all comes down to who you're working with, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, with me, I'm extremely patient with people because I can be getting on with other things in the meantime. You know, I'm not just there. I think they think that if I'm not working on their thing, I'm just sitting there twiddling my thumbs. That's it. So I'm just getting on with other things. I don't have a particular like release date in mind because I know everything's going to be delayed and there'll be problems along the way. So I just don't. But what I can't stand is just that silence thing. You just get nothing for months, and it's just like, do you remember this thing that you were meant to be doing? You know, and it's just like, apart from anything else, it's rude. Something. You know, it's just
absolutely. Just tell me something. Just say, didn't get to work on it, or I only got this much done, but I'm still working. Just don't ghost in the middle.
Yeah. Or just say, I'm too busy, or I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really, I've gone off it, or something. Just say something. That's
anything.
It.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in that situation, I'd be giving someone a deadline, and I'd be saying, right, I want you to send me the first draft by next Wednesday or something like that. But sometimes, for me, I give myself deadlines because I know if I don't have a deadline, I'll take as long as I've got, basically. If I know I've got a week, then in that week I'll work. You know, say I wanted to write a song by the end of the day, I could probably write a decent enough song by the end of the day because I'd section off that whole day and I'd be like, right, that's all I'm working on today. If someone says, write a decent song.
I think that's how it was with this.
Yeah. And if someone says, right, well, I want a first draft by March, they're getting that first draft in March. For me, I said to Charles, like, right, I'm putting next Thursday evening in so I can do some writing on this. And then that Thursday evening, I'd send him something because that's the only way I can work at it and actually get stuff done is put it, you know, I'll tell my wife next Thursday evening, I'll be up in my room songwriting. You won't see me. I'll stick it in my calendar. I'll do it like that so that I know when I'm going to do it and I've got to do it. So, and then that kind of helps me deal with writer's block and stuff as well, because it's like, I've prepared for that session. Everything's ready, and I'm like, even if it doesn't sound great at the time, I'm still spending those few hours. So I'm gonna refine it. I'm gonna hone it. Even if I don't like a line, I'm gonna carry on, and then I can always come back to it. It's discipline and stuff, isn't it, as well? I think I always think this, like, because I think for my whole life, I never really finished a song until I decided, like 3 years ago, right, I'm gonna do this artist thing. You're just having that discipline to. Like any of us on New Artist Spotlight, you know, we've finished a song, we've got them out there. There's some amazing musicians out there who have never finished a song. I've never recorded a song. I've never actually committed to an idea and gone, right, this is the song now. I'm going to move on. I'm going to record it. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, you can spend all your life waiting for that perfect song, or you can just do it and learn from it and get some stuff down, record it, put it out, and learn from it, and then keep going, and your next songs will get better and better by doing that.
Yeah, actually, I had 5 or 6 years of writing ideas without finishing a single song. It was from the age of about 13 to 18. The first song, well, I wrote one little song when I was 15, but basically the first song I ever wrote, I was 18. But I'd been writing ideas and bits for literally 5 years. And even my dad was getting annoyed. It was just, yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's another great. Yeah. Finish it. Just finish one. Yeah, no, but how about this? I've got this new, because I was only ever interested in the latest one. Oh, that's old. That's 2 days ago. That's old. So I just, how about this one? Yeah, that's also good. Finish it. And it was, so eventually I did. And I've got about 200 now. So, yeah.
If my laptop dies, it dies. I don't know. I've been in NAS so long that my computer has been plugged in constantly, and now my battery is shot. So now even though it's charging, it dies sometimes. So hopefully I can get a new battery tomorrow. But if not, is what it is. But until it does die. Yeah. So Charles, for you, it seems like you do so much yourself. Is there any part of you that's like, let me give this to somebody else that might have this bit a little bit more than I have it down? Is there anything that's kind of like, I may not be perfect at this. Maybe somebody else could help.
I think
in this part of the process.
there are times when I could do that, but I want to be able to get better. I want to learn to be able to do that. So I'm trying to do it myself rather than just saying I could pass this on to someone else. In the same way that a lot of people who've heard my mixing and have gone, yeah, I really love your stuff. It sounds great, blah, blah, blah. But, and then I've said, oh, are you interested? And they say, well, I mean, I'm sure you do a really good job, but I just really like mixing it myself. And although I'm not that great, I'm always learning and I'm always sort of getting better. And I just like to do it that way. And I completely get that because it is a kind of self-improvement thing. But of course, I mean, when I hope I don't come across as being sort of, I'm great at everything. I do a lot of things, or I can do a lot of things. It doesn't mean by any means that I'm the best at everything. It's just that I can do it. But there are always going to be better people. Like I can play the guitar, but I do play the guitar. I've been playing for years, but it's not. I would never call myself a guitarist. It's just that I play the guitar. In the NAS, there are just scores of guitarists who are way better than I am. But I never think of asking a guitarist to play on the track because it just doesn't cross my mind. And also, the sort of technical stuff that I can't do, I don't tend to want in my music because my music's quite sort of, I don't do that kind of technical stuff like technical guitar solos or vocal lines with all the trills. I tend not to write like that. So there's not really a need to have it. But if it was needed, I would have to approach someone. And I'm not sure which way round it is. If I write in the way I write because of the way I play and sing, or if it's the other way around. I don't know. But it all just seems to come together somehow.
So for each of you, what was your favorite and least favorite part of your song and the process of getting it done, getting it out? Yeah.
The least favorite was probably when I played it to Wilko and he didn't think it was any good. That was probably the least favorite. But then he came back to me a day later and said he really liked it. I mean, apart from that, honestly, and that was a kind of a joke, but it was the smoothest process. It was really enjoyable. Yeah, I don't think there was really anything particularly difficult. There was a lot of time consuming, but there wasn't anything there weren't any problems, any obstacles, anything to overcome. It just kind of worked pretty well. I don't know about you, Wilko.
The only other one that springs to mind is there's a line that goes, at night when I'm trying to get a kip, all I can think about is you and what we used to be about. And it sounded like Charles was like, oh yeah, this middle bit sounds like you're saying when I'm trying to get a kipple. And there's no such word as kipple. So then I had to try and rap it in a way because I've not left actually much room between the syllables. And some of it I think was maybe my accent as well. I was having to try and re-record it, but leave a slight bit of a gap between kip and all.
It's near impossible.
It took me another like 10 takes to do it or something, but it was all good. It was worth getting right. And my favourite part of the process was, I think, as always for me, that my favourite part of the process is where I'm just that moment where I've solidified the idea and I'm writing and I'm like, yes, that's a good line. That's a good line. Just the actual like imagination and the creativity of actually like doing it and starting to come together and practicing it over the music, and you see it go from just a piece of music on the loop in your head to like a song. And yeah, I really like what Charles did with it as well. Like that's another nice little memory for me is when I was in Fort William for the weekend. I was meant to be climbing Ben Nevis, which is the tallest peak in the UK. But it was stormy weather, so we just ended up drinking all weekend. But I was with my mates and we went bowling. And when we got back to the hotel, I said, "Oh, I'll join you in 5 minutes," and sat in the car and listened to the. Because Charles was told me under lock and key that nobody else was able to listen to it. So I was going to say, "Hey lads, I'll play you this new song," but then he was like, "No, make sure it's only you." So I was like, "Yeah, I'll join you in there, lads," and then I listened to it. Ben Nevis in front of me, like in the mountains, and I cranked up the volume on the car like full blast so I could try and hear every little element. And as it was going, I was just like, "Yes, I really like this. Like, love what he's done there. Like." All these little bits just so then I ended up sat there for like 15 minutes listening to it about 4 or 5 times, and that was a nice moment as well.
That's amazing. I didn't know any of that. I mean, I knew that you listened to it in the car, but I didn't know you were in front of Ben Nevis. That's incredible.
Yeah, it was good, man. That
is really cool. But you made me think of I forgot Origin's question was also and favorite bits that of the process. I think my favorite bit was actually
favorite bits of the process and the song itself.
But I think okay, I kind of got 2 things. But yeah, Wilko, you were saying about the actual creative part of it and coming up with the right word and the right phrasing and everything. And it's kind of that for me. My favorite bit was towards the end. It was when I was doing all the orchestral stuff. So although the song is full of all that orchestral all the way up, the choruses and the bridge, it's got all the orchestral stuff. That was not what Wilko had to write to. That I did right at the end. I was listening back and just thinking, it sounds a bit lacking, a bit empty. And I just shoved the whole orchestra in it at the last minute. That was my favorite bit, because just hearing all the individual elements come together and arrange them properly, and it excited me. And also because sounds these days are so good that if I close my eyes and just press play, it just was sort of, wow, I've got my own orchestra, and it just sort of feels like you're conducting your own orchestra, and it's so exciting. And my favorite bit of the actual song is the bridge, I think, but I tend to say that, but I'm always pretty happy with my bridges because it's very different from the rest of the song. I kind of think of the bridge as a mini song in the song, just so it just. I find a lot of songs either don't have a bridge or the bridge is just a little thing and it's okay. In other words, there's not much point in it being there. Or it's the same as the chorus, but with half the instruments taken out. They take out the drums, take out the bass, put a load of reverb on the vocals, and then it all comes back in for the chorus. But for me, that's kind of just a thinned out chorus. But I always do something completely different. And that's my favorite bit, I think.
Yeah, I'd say that's my favorite bit as well. I love a good bridge, and
it's like a 2-part bridge.
It's the master of the bridge.
Part me, and then second part.
To find the treasure I'm searching for. That's it. I butchered it.
Hey, you don't have Charles's undetectable vocal production.
I know, like I told you, I've been ill as well, so I've still got a sore throat. Otherwise, that would have been pitch perfect. But yeah, I liked that bit as well, where he's like, I crumbled under all the pressure on top of me, I crumbled under all the pressure on top of me, and he phases in my real voice with the computerized voice and then phases it back out.
I've forgotten about that, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a really clever little move. Like, I enjoyed that.
That was actually partly something you said, because you were just saying, all the way through, I kept ignoring you, and it was stupid. I kept saying, no, it needs that break. It needs that empty bit, just the instrumental in that. So I just think it's a bit, it's lacking. There's something. And you were completely right. There was no singing or no rapping in that whole bit. And I just thought, it just suddenly slumps and it's boring. It needs something. And then I just thought, take a bit of your rap and just cut cut it to bits and do stuff with it, and literally make it like beats and playing with the rhythm. That's it.
Gotcha. I even did my song Just Mercy. The way the chorus is the way it was supposed to be, but the engineer heard it and he's like, this is off beat, and he changed it, he moved it. And when sorry, I have a person behind me. But when the engineer sent it back, I hadn't heard it in a while, so to me, I thought it sounded normal because he changed it to the point where it just sounded good. It sounded natural. And then I sent the mix off, and he's like, what happened? What did he do? Like, it's supposed to be a space here. And I'm like, wait, what are you talking? And I have to go back and listen to the original. I'm like, oh, he changed. And like, I think both versions were equally good. And that just came down to a thing of, this is what I wrote and this is what I want on there. Yeah. That's my 2 cents. If you guys, I mean, we went way over, but I feel like we got a lot of good conversation in. I'm just gonna kick us off again in a few minutes anyway. So I think we should wrap up. I mean, it's been a good conversation. It's been real interesting actually getting to have conversations with you guys. Charles, the conversation we were supposed to have didn't work out that way. So this is kind of like me getting my podcast episode just a little bit late. If you guys don't have anything, I think it's been great, but I'll see you later. I got a family to get to.
Yeah, take care, man.
Holding me
Thank you both
hostage.
for your time. Yeah. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, I'll see you both soon.
Excellent.
Peace out.
New Artist Spotlight Podcast.